In 6.1, we're looking to calculate the mean and standard deviation for a discrete probability distribution. So looking at this table here, what makes it discrete? So table 1 represents the number of free throws made in 3 attempts. So when we think about the possible outcomes in 3 free throw attempts, how many can go in? Well, 0 can go in, 1, 2, or all 3 can go in. These outcomes right here are nice round integers, okay? These are discrete. So what makes this a discrete probability distribution is that each outcome has a certain probability of occurring, okay? So if you have an outcome with a probability attached to it, that's called a random variable. The random variable here, x, is the number of free throw attempts out of the 3 with probabilities of making one of these outcomes. Now, in this example, what we would like to do is we'd like to calculate the expected number of free throws made based on this probability distribution table. So there's a formula to calculate mean. There's also a formula to calculate the spread or standard deviation, okay? But I want to show you in the calculator how to do both when it comes to finding the mean and standard deviation of a discrete probability distribution. So we have a table, okay? What I'd like to do is I'd like to go into the calculator and stat edit, and notice I'd like to put my outcomes in L1 and the probability or the frequency in L2, okay? So once we place the L1 and L2, we'll quit to the home screen just to be safe. And let me show you how we calculate mean and standard deviation. The bread and butter, we've been going to that all semester now. The bread and butter is going to find the mean and standard deviation for a probability distribution in the discrete form. Now there is something that does change. Here, because we have L1 and L2, I need to put both and run the one var stat. So second one will bring up L1. And funny enough, there's a comma button in the calculator that we actually use in statistics a lot that allows us to run a one var stat on L1 and L2 because these two are together. Okay, these two are together. So after you hit comma, second L2, that's going to create your home screen like this, and that's going to let you find the mean and standard deviation for this discrete probability distribution, and we hit enter. Okay. So once again, just like before, this should say MEAN is equal to 2.26. What this means is, out of 3 attempts, we're averaging, or we're expected to make 2.26. Okay, so the mean is equal to 2.26. We're expected to make, out of 3 attempts, 2.26 free throw shots. The spread, now if you notice, spread is denoted by either S or sigma, but here the calculator actually leaves S blank. And the reason why the calculator leaves S blank is because it recognizes that your table, L1 and L2, is a discrete probability distribution. It satisfies these two requirements here where all probabilities add up to 1 and all probabilities are between 0 and 1. So each one of these probabilities, it follows these two conditions. So the calculator recognizes it, and this is just its way of letting us know, hey, I recognize you plugged in L1, L2. They're a discrete probability distribution. So this is its way of telling us that it knows, it recognizes it. But the spread, okay, there is a formula to calculate spread. If you notice down here in the handout, there's a formula way to calculate. In this class in elementary statistics, we try and find more application instead of going into the more of the theoretical calculating way to do it by hand. In this class, the application is more important here. So the spread of the data is 0.672. Let's call it 673. Okay. Now, I do want to show, for those of you who are using the TI-84, when running the one-bar stat, it does look different from the TI-83. So let me show you here how to find the mean and standard deviation if you're using the TI-84. So here we enter the data set, right? Okay. So the data set goes into L1 and L2 just like before, and we'll second mode to quit to the home screen. And when we're ready to run the one-bar stat calc number 1, your screen doesn't require the comma button. Okay, only the TI-83 will require the comma. Here for the TI-84, you'll enter the table as follows. Your list, that's going to be your outcomes. That's going to be L1. Go down to where it says frequency list. Frequency list, that's going to be your probabilities. Here you're going to put L2. Okay. So when your home screen looks like this, then you're ready to find the mean and standard deviation of the discrete probability distribution. When you hit calculate, what you'll notice is we got a mean of 2.26 and we got a spread of 0.67. Let's call it 673.